Greetings builders and welcome back to another best build selection. This is the video where I bring 3 selected builds from a specific topic, and today's theme is electrifying. I'm of course talking about the lightning builds. And if you decide to make any of those, you can find links for the PoE and complete guide in the video description. The first build of our shocking selection is the Arc Totem's Hierophant with the Templar class.
On this build we use many totems that cast the Arc skill for a fast and safe clear speed. Listing the pros of this build, I would start with how cheap and easy it is to complete your Atlas using this building. With almost no investment, you have a powerful, safe and fast character that would be the perfect currency farmer for this and future builds. Now to list the cons, this build doesn't have access to evasion or spell suppression, but don't worry, totem builds are very safe to play. Another issue is that some players might find this gameplay to be a little tedious and too easy, but as you know, this is just a matter of taste.
As for budget, this is one of the cheapest builds in existence. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 35 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, I recommend investing around 90 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas, I recommend investing around 3 divines, but you can totally do it with less. Don't forget that on PoEbuilds.net you can find a list with all the equipments that you need to buy for this build, with direct links for examples being sold by other players.
This build needs 3 mandatory unique items, but they are normally very cheap and easy to get. The first one is the Soul Mantle Armor, that causes Socket Gems to be supported by a level 20 spell totem. This grants us an extra support skill gem. We also need a Kikazaro Ring to counter the effect of curses. This is because a side effect of Soul Mantle that will apply a random curse on you whenever a totem dies. Finally, we also need the Self-Flagellation Jewel that grants up to 20% increased damage for each curse on you. Thanks to Soul Mantle, you'll be always with around 9 curses, resulting on 180% increased damage. For clear speed, this build gets 9 out of 10. Arc is an awesome skill that chains through many enemies and easily clear big packs. This build counts with 4 totems casting this amazing skill. The boss damage deserves 9 out of 10. With the right debuffs and all 4 totems summoned, this build can take even big bosses down without any issue. For the survivability, I would also give it 9 out of 10. As a totem build, you'll always be far from action while your totems do all the work. So if you know how to mind your position, you can easily complete high tier maps with low grade gear. Above all, this build still counts with high armor and high block chance.
Next we have a very popular build, the Spark Inquisitor, also with the Templar class.
Spark is an erratic lightning skill that runs on the floor, killing any living thing that has the misfortune of crossing its way. To list the pros of this build, I would start with how easy and simple it is to play it. You don't need to aim or anything, just cast the Spark and they will run on their own and get the job done. This build also needs only 1 mandatory unique item and counts with great boss damage and survivability. Now to list the cons, I would point that the clear speed is not very smooth because you end up having to cast Spark many times. It's almost like a Raging Spirits build. Another issue would be the lack of evasion and spell suppression, but don't worry, we have many other defensive layers here.
As for budget, you can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 85 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, I recommend investing around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divines.
You need only 1 mandatory unique item for this build, the Call of the Brotherhood Ring that converts 40% of lightning damage into cold damage. This is great because it frees enemies for more survivability, and we also use Herald of Ice for more clear speed. For clear speed, I'll give it 8 out of 10. Spark projectiles have a long duration and pierce enemies, so after you cast them, they go through a long distance, killing many of them. But since you can't control their path, you end up having to cast many times, and that might slow you down a little. The boss damage is great and deserves 9 out of 10, especially when you find yourself in a closed arena where the spark projectiles can hit the target many times. For the survivability, I'll give it 9 out of 10. This build comes with an amazing regeneration, healed life plus energy shield pool, high armor and block chance. This can even be better if you invest a few chaos orbs buying a replica Soul Terror belt for the corrupted soul.
Finally we have the build that took everyone by surprise on Crucible, the amazing Lightning Arrow Deadeye with the Ranger class.
With all those returning projectile shenanigans that Crucible brought, we now live in the time of archers.
With very little investment that pretty much doubled most of attack projectile damage. Now Lightning Arrow got even more with its Val version that is awesome to kill bosses. To list the pros of this build, I'm not sure if I would start with its clear speed or boss damage because both are out of this world. This build is also not complicated to put together, it's definitely the perfect mid-league build to be playing right now. Now to list the cons I will start with its cost. Because of Lionel's fall, this build is quite expensive right now, but I'm sure that in a few more weeks the prices will drop. About the budget, as I just mentioned, is an expensive build right now. You need around 5 Divine Orbs to put it together. You only need 2 mandatory unique items for this build. The first is of course the Lionel's Fall Jewel that grants many useful nodes in our passive tree. Next, we also need a Yoke of Suffering Amulet that causes all of our elemental damage to shock. This way our enemies take a lot more damage. For clear speed, I'd give it 10 out of 10. You fire many projectiles with high attack speed and those projectiles return to you, pierce enemies and bounce off walls. You even have your Mirage Archer to fire more projectiles. No one can survive that. The boss damage is also amazing and deserves 10 out of 10. Using 2 Val Lightning Arrows plus your ballistas on bosses will kill them so fast that you won't believe it. For the survivability, I'll give this build 9 out of 10. You have armor evasion and spell suppression that grants almost 50,000 effective HP, but the main reason why this build is safe is because you can kill everything from a huge distance, you just need to mind your position. And that's it guys, what did you think about those awesome lightning builds? Please take a second to tell me in the comments and leave a thumbs up to support the channel. I wish you guys an amazing day and don't forget to keep building.